Okay, good day everyone. I hope you all are doing well. As you all know that my name is Dr. I'm a clinical psychologist, psychotherapist, teacher and language therapist. Okay, my co-host also here, and I'm just waiting for her to join. And hi, how are you? Just let me make you co-host first before you
Can
know.
you get me the charger? Because it's all stuck down there. Please, thank you. Hi, Anil, are you all right? Okay. It's done now. Thank you.
Sorry, I hope you are doing
Right,
well.
thank you. Right then. Hi,
Hi, how are
Anila.
you?
I'm fine. How are you? Can
Yes,
you hear?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah. Yeah, my girls broke up from school today for 6 weeks, so I'm really happy. Where you gone, Anila? You do this all the time to me, don't you? I don't know what. So
Getting recording. It shouldn't be. So I hope you all are doing well, and I make you co-host already. Sometime the villages is coming, and we cannot still rely on the thing. So I hope you all are doing well, and as you all know that we are having a lot of amazing discussions. I am calling it amazing because we get a chance to touch every topic. So the topic of our today, but before that, I would like to thank my co-host Colette Eliad. We both are working on project recovering from childhood trauma, and our first step of this project is to do some awareness session, and we are doing
And Neela's gone again. She'll be back in a minute. I can't talk because I don't know what it is Anila wants to talk about today, but we will get there. The joys of technology. You know, she'll be back on in a sec, so we'll get talking when she comes back on. So hope everybody's okay
we
out
are back
there.
again.
You back? No, she's gone again. So I hope everybody's okay out there. Hope you're all enjoying the weather wherever you are. Obviously some parts of the world are on fire, so we assume that they're not enjoying the weather there. I'm excited. My children have broke up today for their 6 weeks holidays, so I've got them at home for 6 weeks, and I love it. We've got things planned, got a holiday planned. So yes, just me and my girls, you know, making memories. Anila, are you there? Okay. So if anybody has got any questions for us, if anybody would like us to talk about anything in particular, then please do, because please do message us. You know, me and Anila sometimes will go off on a ramble, and you know, some people might want to talk about something in particular, and if we can, then we will. Um, if I can talk about it, then I will. I don't tend to get involved with things that I don't really know about. So, but Dr. Anila Khan, she's amazing. So you've got a good team on your side if you're following us. Anila, are you there? Hello? Um, uh, yeah, she's gone off. I don't know what's going on. I hope you're not recording this, Anila, because not really doing much here. Yeah, please don't record, Anila. Okay, Neela, if you can hear me, I have messaged you. So it looked like Anila's completely offline, so I'm assuming that her internet is down. Okay, so she's not showing up on anything at the moment. Like I say, I think her internet's gone down. I've said it before, Anila's based in Islamabad. That's where she lives, that's her home. And obviously at the moment with what's going on over there, you know, they have rolling blackouts and they have their internet switched off intermittently, and it messes up a whole schedule really, but what can you do? It's beyond anybody's control. Nobody can control what's going on here. Just staying on here just for a little bit longer to see if she comes back on. But there's absolutely no internet. Okay, right. I need. Oh, she's back. Brilliant. Hi, Neela.
Yes, I think that was a very long gap.
It was, yeah, that was very long.
Sorry, everyone. And today we were about to talk about very interesting and very important topic that was about domestic violence and what are the causes of domestic violence. So, without any further delay, I hope I don't go again further, without any delay. Uh, Colette, just tell me what do you think, or what is your opinion about uh, domestic causes of domestic violence? Uh, let's just keep side of the, because if we talk about domestic violence is not about uh, just about gender based, because we are talking about this all the time. It's not about you belong to poor or you belong to rich families. It is everywhere. So what do you think are the reasons of the domestic violence, other than well, just try to have a simple conversation about that without making it
Um,
complex.
I mean, coercive control is a huge thing as part as domestic violence. And when we talk about coercive control, we talk about the control that somebody has over somebody to a point that that person has no life of their own. So sometimes, domestic violence doesn't necessarily mean hitting somebody. It's getting into their heads. It's playing psychological games with people. It's taking people's dignity away. It's taking people's identity away. And then you've got the other side of domestic violence where there's hitting and there's that sort of abuse, physical abuse. So when we talk about domestic violence, it again, it comes under the trauma of like our trauma umbrella. That it can involve a lot of things, and a lot of that is not just physical. It doesn't have to be physical to be domestic violence.
So, what I believe is, okay, I will just ask you a question because my perspective is different. I'm a therapist, and your perspective is different. You are somebody who have experienced a lot of things, and other thing is that you have, as a mother and as a talking to a lot of people, and as a writer also, your experience is different because since you write about, then when you write something, when you write a book, then you of course you get to know a lot of people. You talk to them and they share their experience with you. So
Yeah.
in some areas and in some mind, it is, they think like that domestic violence is because of poverty, like poor people who don't have a man who cannot, or maybe a woman who are not able to get certain things, or a man is not able to provide the family, then, or they're poor, they belong to uneducated family, then it is only attribute to those people that domestic violence is only over there. And they certainly forget the domestic violence because it could be emotional abuse also, because since we are talking about abuse all the time, emotional abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse, any form of abuse. So is it just about some poor, the at-risk community have a domestic violence problem, or some third world countries have domestic violence problem, or it is also, you could say that, or about other first world countries too, or developed countries? What do you think?
I think it's the same wherever you go. Domestic violence is domestic violence. It doesn't matter what part of the country you're in, whether you're in third world or first world, it doesn't matter. It's the way we deal with it. It's the way we help victims of domestic violence now. I know over here we've got a huge thing going on where domestic violence is not being tolerated at all, which is massive. But I know that in your country, it happens on a daily basis, all around you constantly, because there's no sort. I mean, I'm not too sure on the laws over there, Anila. I mean, what are the consequences over there for domestic violence? Is there any consequences for domestic violence?
Now we have a lot of laws, but the point is we have laws, a lot of laws already, and a lot of organization, women based organization work for that. And there are a lot of judges, women judges, who feel like that, like they have to take something like that. But the point is, what they will only take action when somebody would come to them. After that they can take action. I mean, you cannot just drag go into somebody's house and ask about certain things, because we have seen, like, I have been talking about those things also. People have been killed in that process, like
Okay.
children have seen their mother killed by their father in front of them. And sometimes those, because why I was talking about the poverty side over here, because people think like that. But the 2 or 3 cases, because we did protest for that also last year, and those were the 3 cases where the three women were killed by maybe their friends, you could say friend, or whether you could call it a boyfriend or friend, or maybe they were in the relationship, and the other one was a person who was, I think it was a police officer. He killed his wife, and then there was another man, and they were kind of influential people. So uh, people maybe, or maybe the authority only took some kind of a action, or they maybe, for telling people that we are doing something about that. They were doing certain things, or they are being in the custody, but over there they are living with that protocol, like they are not being treated by the way other prisoners are treated, they're treated by very, they are well treated over there. The point is, but over here, I was just saying that it's not just about the people from lower class. It's happening in middle class. It is also happening in upper class. It is happening
Yeah,
everywhere. And if
yeah,
it's not domestic abuse or domestic violence, because we think that violence is something physical, whatever
mhm,
coming from your mouth could be also a form of that. If you are if you are depriving your wife of certain things, because the culture construct is very complex. If a man is depriving his wife of the basic need, like not providing the, okay, you think that a woman only need food, so you are providing for the family, and a woman is working as a domestic labor at house. Okay, maybe if she's a housewife, it's her job, but sometimes educated women, and can you imagine that I knew some of activists, like those who are working for human rights, are also facing domestic violence at their homes, and they cannot do something about that because they are in the shame and guilt that what we can do about that, because we don't have any support and nobody is going to support us. So there are different circumstances if people are in our culture staying under that relationship or under that thing, because our circumstances are different. We don't have that much, you could say that independent women or women on their own. It's very difficult to live as independent women in our culture, in our society. And people doing character assassination of that woman. And there's so many other aspects also, but the point
so
is,
that
it is happening everywhere.
that's it. I mean, that happens over here with your culture as well, Lanila. The amount of murders that we've had over here, which are called like honorary killings and things like that, and there's nothing honourable about them at all. What's honourable about killing somebody that you're supposed to love? And it's massive over here as well. But the thing is, it's quite hard to, I don't want to say get involved, because it's, I don't, what's going on?
I just bring a background into our discussion.
Oh, okay then.
That's the background.
Neela, what are you doing? Oh my God.
I was just doing a background.
Right, okay. You've just completely put me off there. Thank you. But yeah, it does happen a lot in your culture, and it happens over here as well. When your culture is something that I can't really speak on, because the only times I ever hear about it is when there's been a killing, and when the family have been found out. Other than that, we don't. Now, whether that's because there's a lack of women from your culture that will come forward to the police, because I know that they lose everything, don't they? They lose absolutely everything, and it's not just their home or their family, but the whole community turns their back on them, and that's not fair. Whereas in my culture, it's, if you go through that, you've got people that will rally around you, you've got family that will rally around you. It's so different, it's so black and white. It's like the way that you are treated because of your culture is absolutely horrendous, because you're basically left out on your own if you come forward to say anything. And that's horrible. That is horrible. I mean, I see women at the school and walking around with their husbands, and their husbands are talking down to them in the shop, and even their own children are talking to them like they're nothing. And I find that really disturbing, that a man
Arsa,
can.
char ka hoon.
Sorry. Anila, have you gone again? You're back.
No, I'm still here. Actually, I just turned off my mic because there's a lot of children playing outside. So
Oh,
I just turned
okay,
off
okay.
that mic. That's why you think that I'm
Yeah,
off.
I just find it
Another
really
thing is
bad
that
with.
if speaker is talking, then he is only forward. We just
Mm,
have a small window where we both are here, but it's just a speaker. You could say that a speaker view. So Like, since you're talking about the thing, and it is important to talk about that aspect. Okay, for example, why it is happening and why people over here are not going forward, because they don't have support actually. And sometimes if a woman file any case in the police, and then the person could stay in the custody also. But the point is, when the person came out, it's not clear that he will stop that behavior. For some time he stopped that behavior, then after that he started that behavior again. And there's are, okay, we are talking about the other aspect, but there are other things too. Why domestic violence is happening, that is also an
Drink,
important.
drugs,
Why it's happening?
poverty. It's, you're looking at drink, drugs, poverty, work, money, family, children. Anila's just walked off from me whilst I'm talking to her. Thank you, Anila. Anila's gone. She'll be back in a minute, I'm hoping. Where is she? Anila. Oh, this is getting a bit spooky. The camera's moving and she's not there. Oh, there she is. You just left me.
No, it's always there, but actually the speaker is, it's only on speaker window. So
Yeah.
you can do anything if you like to drink water, but it's a speaker window, so that's why I just get off, because sometimes you have to do something.
Oh,
So
okay.
so the point is, we have to also talk about what are the causes of domestic violence or domestic abuse. And we also need to consider over here neglect, because it's not about children are getting neglect, it's about wife is also getting neglect. And there are a lot of circumstances. So one factor that you talk about is drug, that the husband is taking drug. Like, remember, I just talked to you about that case a day before, last time, that husbands are not working, and they are just taking drugs, and wife is working, and even wife is not working a good job, she's also working in different homes, she's also working as a domestic worker. Like, she's a maid at some house, and the little money she gets, she have to give for children, she have to provide the food to children, she have to look after for the education. Since we have certain school, government school, where they can take care of that thing also, that the fee is very low, so the children are going there. But what about after that? Like, what about after matriculation? Because uh, the children getting older, the needs are different of the children. So the husband is hitting the wife to take the money from that. And I remember there was a woman working with us, and she used to give her money to our manager to keep her safe for her. She said that I cannot take that money home. If I will take that money home, I'm not able to provide drinking milk to my son. She was giving formula milk because she adopted that son. So these are different circumstances. So he was not working. He was working before COVID, and COVID put a lot of in COVID. Circumstances are very different. We have seen a lot of abuse cases, a lot of women, and a lot of children, a lot of men were abused in that time period, and a lot of people have they've maybe
Yeah, we
they've
had that here
mental health
too.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah, we had that here too. We had a rise in domestic abuse, domestic violence, children being abused, being killed. Now they estimate we've got thousands of children that are missing from schools since the schools have reopened from COVID. And it's like, well, where are these children? Who's trying to track these children down? So COVID it hid a multitude of things, what literally went on behind closed doors, stayed behind closed doors during COVID. Nobody got involved with anybody, and it was everybody for themselves. So nobody really took notice of neighbours or family members or anything like that. And this was where these bullies, because that's what they are, that's where they hid behind COVID. And unfortunately a lot of women didn't survive, a lot of children haven't survived. But we've also had a rise in women coming forward about being abused during COVID and lockdown. And it's the same with men. Men are coming forward as well. They were abused during lockdown. And you know, I think spending 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with each other, you know, you can't do that, then you shouldn't be together, you know, because it's all about being committed to each other for life. And if you can't stay with each other in one house for, you know, a couple of weeks or whatever, then you shouldn't be together and you should walk away whilst you can, you know, before it gets too late, because it will get to that point where it's too late and so much damage has been done, and not just to you, but to your children. And, you know, these are the things you've got to think about. I know it's easier said than done, but I was in 2 abusive relationships and it is hard, especially when you've got children with this person, because you know the last thing you want to do is take these children away. You don't want to break up a family home, but then you've got to realise the abuse then that you're putting on your children by staying there, and that abuse is traumatic. It's they see, they hear, they're not stupid. They may be children, but they're not stupid. You know, they know what's right and what's wrong. And so COVID, it hit so many people so well that, you know, it was inevitable bad things were going to happen.
And the thing is that since we're talking about the different maybe causes, what we can understand about, we can talk about that, about domestic violence or domestic abuse, as whatever term you need to you think about it as. uh, there's also one thing also which you also might, because you, since you're married and you're a mother also, but before that you're a married woman, you have a lot of friends who are married. I don't have friends who are married too, and we have sometimes those discussion, but the level of your understanding is different than my understanding about the extramarital affairs of a man, that is also causing in domestic violence. They also, because what my understanding and what people told me about that that person is getting involved with, that woman is trying to have that man, and he just want him to leave everyone, the children and the son and the wife also and the whole house. And over here it's the man job. It's like man think that he's a victim over here. He will portray like a victim in front of his husband, his friends, and getting any kind of support for that too. But the point is that just because of that man, or maybe women also, because over here we don't want to specify this to the gender, both gender are facing domestic abuse and domestic violence. So we are talking about cheating over here, another person, or extramarital affair over here. It is also causing into complexity of the relationship, and that is also affecting children also. What do you think about that, and what is your opinion about that? Because it is a very evident thing that it is happening, and it affects the household also. uh, since we have the, in our religion we have permission, like a man have permission to have like multiple marriages, but even then this is a problem over here. It's still causing a lot of trouble for people and people houses. What is your opinion about that?
I think that's disgusting. I don't think anybody should have more than one partner, whether you be married or not. To have several wives, I mean, that's traumatic. You know, you're competing with other ladies, you're competing with other women for your husband's affections, and that's not right. You know, you shouldn't be having to do that. Um, as far as domestic violence is concerned, I think a man who has got many wives has got no right to be violent to anybody with what he's doing, you know,
But
and
even
he's
then they
getting
face
away with it.
but I'm just saying that person having extramarital affair. I just give you an example that a man can have two or three wives.
Okay,
Even then, domestic violence is happening in
yeah,
some relationships, because and
okay then. So,
that the
yeah,
man interested in somebody else before the marriage, and she was out or he was out, and all of a sudden they remember those, those feelings, and they try to come back, and when they try to come back, then they are trying to ruin the life of a married person, either man or either woman, and they are not understanding that that person or that man or that woman have wife or husband, or they have children, they have families, and I don't know what kind of happiness that person is getting from doing those things. So this was my perspective over here.
Well, I mean, I was cheated on, again by my girl's dad. 3 times. I let him do it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Anila, can you hear me? Anila? Okay. Okay. Anila's gone. She'll be back on. Yeah, she's coming back on now. She is. So yes, I was in a relationship with somebody
No,
that
at that time
cheated on.
I was talking. Yes, I'm back. And I was talking about extramarital affair, even men or even
Yeah,
women. It is also a cause of domestic violence. And what is your opinion about that? Because since you have friends who might share those things with you, and how.
I went through it myself. I went through it with my ex, and 3 times I allowed him to cheat on me, and the third time it was that's enough. I can't take anymore. You're making me mad, making me sad, which means that that's how I am around my children, and I don't want my children seeing me depressed and debt and worrying. And I mean, he used to hold money back. He'd give me so much money to spend each day. And my life wasn't my own. I wasn't allowed to dye my hair. I wasn't allowed to wear certain clothes. And there was a lot of things. There was a multitude of things that he did to me. And yes, he did physically attack me. He's locked me in a room so he can go out. He was vile. He was absolutely vile. But I stayed with him because I never wanted my children to grow up with a broken family. I didn't want my children to have stepdads like I did. I'm going to carry on talking because she'll be back on in a sec. But yeah, I didn't want my children to have stepdads like I did. And it's just there are so many things that keep you there, and you need that one thing that's gonna say enough is enough. And when you've got children, that should be enough is enough. Once is enough. I stayed 3 times, and I shouldn't have, because my children saw how weak I was, and that just made me even more depressed. And then I got into another bad relationship, and it was when my children actually seen this person put his hands on me that I said no more. And I don't tolerate it anymore. I don't tolerate any sort of domestic abuse. It's not on. It's not right. And I've got girls that I'm raising, so I need them to be strong and, powerful women, and not to give in to people, men, women, whoever they decide to be with. Um, you don't give in. There's nobody's better in a relationship. You come as one. You together, and you become strong as one. And if you're not working as one and you're working as two separate, then you need out. You need to go out. And sometimes women need a good kick up the bum sometimes, and I do speak to women that have gone through domestic violence and are still going through it, and they're still in the same relationship. And I can't say to them, you have to leave them, because at the end of the day, people were saying that to me, and you don't listen. You dig your heels in, and you believe in what you're fighting for. And so the best thing to do is just to be there and to listen and to give advice, and say what's right and what's wrong, and what these people are doing to them are wrong. So yeah.
And we were talking about, like, you just mentioned your own experience with this thing, but the point is that, like, till some time a woman is like letting go of whatever is happening with that, whatever the person, whatever the man or woman is doing, because we need to understand that, and we need to make this clear that it's not just gender specific. It could happen to both and the point is still over here, children are getting affected. And if our children get to know that their parents have extramarital affair, what do you think about that? What is there? Because I have seen people, and because people come to me in therapy, and I have uh, came to know a lot of people and who share their experience with me. But I would like to know your perspective on that. That when children
Mm,
came to know about their parents having extramarital affair, what is their reaction to that, or what could be their reaction?
well, over here, to an extramarital affair, well, normally the reaction would to be dissolve the relationship. You know, you can't stay with somebody that's having an affair with somebody else. It's just not possible. Um, and like I was saying earlier, if you've got children, you can't stay together for the sake of children if one person is giving their all to the relationship and the other person is giving their all to somebody else. That's not fair on the children, because the children haven't got two sets of parents that are looking out for their best interest. They've only got one. So again, even though they may not put their hands on you, but if they're cheating, you need to get out. You can't stay there. You have to. You've got to find the strength within that. Yes, you're a woman, but you're a powerful woman, and every woman can be powerful. It's just the way you approach things, it's how you deal with things, it's how you allow yourself to be treated. And it's the same with men. It's how you allow yourself to be treated. And if you allow that, then you've got to expect repercussions in your children. That they're going to grow up thinking it's okay to be in a relationship where there's only one person that's involved and the other person's cheating, and they're going to think that that's okay. And as a mother, I wouldn't want to see my children going through that because they saw me go through that. No way, because I'd have something to say. And this is why you have to I mean, like I said, I've got girls, so I want them to be strong, independent women. I don't want them to be depending on men or women.
I
If
don't know. You're having some
he's
issues, you
still
said.
there. Anila? So yeah, basically whilst I'm waiting for Anila to come back on, I think if one person starts having a relationship outside of their relationship, then they need to leave. So it's not fair. It's not fair on that person, and it's not fair on the children. I've spoken to frontline police officers that go into households where there may be domestic violence going on and things like that. And my first thing to them is always make sure that there are no children in the house. If there are children in the house, then you need to speak to them first, because those children are in danger. You can always set the adults to one side and get the children out of there, because if these people are having a drag out domestic violence whilst their children are there in the property, then what else has happened? So you need to get them kids out of there before you even start to think about sorting the adults out. And this is where my advocacy comes in for the voice of the child, because that child can tell you whether or not they've heard this day after day. And then if then that there's a feeling that these children aren't safe where they are, then obviously social services will get in contact and will be contacted. And that's to mothers, that's just absolutely heartbreaking. But this is why I say get out when you can, because if you don't, it'll only get worse and it'll end in tragedy, whether that means you losing your children or whether that means losing your life. You cannot stay in a domestic violence relationship because of children. I'll stay in domestic violence relationship because you're scared. If you're scared of your partner, then it's not a relationship. It's really not. You shouldn't be scared. You shouldn't be scared to say what you want or do what you want or wear what you want or go where you want. You're an independent person, and if you can't live that way, then you can't show your children how to live that way. How can you teach your children morals, rights from wrongs, when you're staying in a relationship that's damaging not just you but them as well? Because it is damaging them, especially if they're around and they can hear it. So, some people say, oh, they're in bed and they don't hear it. Well, they do, because when you're shouting at each other and, there's violence going on. So obviously there's a lot of movement going on. Of course, children hear it. They wake up, they hear it, but, they don't come downstairs because they're too scared to come downstairs. So in your mind, you're thinking, well, my children haven't heard what's gone on. Well, yeah, they did. They're just too scared to come down and find out what it actually is.
And the thing is over here is that the point is when children see that kind of a relationship, parental relationship among each other, then they start disbelieving and they start losing the confidence, not just in themselves but in relationship also. So then they are not going to get close to anybody else, or they're not going to get, and they're also not going to get to understand who is good person, who is bad person. Like,
there's a lot of trust issues.
Simplified that they will know that who is suitable for them, who is not suitable for them. So if somebody would come to them and like they are more at risk to go toward more domestic violence kind of relationship, because we know that people who are narcissists, who are abuser, they are very good with words. They know how to play with you, they know how to play with your emotions, they know how to feed you. First they will break you down, then they will make a new person out of you, then they will ruin you, and after that they're going to they're going to take back everything from you, and then they're
Yeah.
going to accuse you of something that you never did in your life. So that is another whole new cycle. But the point is, there's another thing also which believe is which I feel is, because even if it's west or in your countries, both areas, it would be the external interference of family, like interference. If a family is interfering in the husband and wife matters, because over here interference is more, they don't have that much decision power to do certain things. Sometimes those things are also adding into, that are also causing of fights, and sometimes those fights are very big fights. And this idea that if a mother-in-law is sometimes mother-in-law is also responsible for having those kind of fights. Sometimes
Oh yeah.
is also reason or cause of those fights. Sometimes some uncle and aunt of that man or that woman is the reason of that fight. Sometimes,
Yeah.
which I feel is, or which I have noticed that, or people told me about that, or which I also witness sometime or observe also, that if you start comparing your own life with other people, that you're asking your husband that I don't have that things, and those my other sister have those things, like your husband is not earning that well, and they're rich people or they're earning very well. So these are the reasons which are causing, which are starting from the fight, and then one day these small fights are big fights.
Mm.
And there are in so many cases, a woman lose their child if she's pregnant, and in some cases, like I know quite few cases, due to miscarriage they are not able to uh, go for another, they are not able to conceive another baby because of that, because we have to understand what is happening. And in some cases, if a child is born premature out of that domestic violence, of that physical abuse, there are the chances of him being intellectually disabled child. People don't understand about that. They don't know what is happening, how much they are putting another life at risk. And nobody's over here to understand what is happening. They're not talking about that, because it is, like it is a norm, it is common.
It's yeah. it is in your culture, and I just don't understand it. I don't understand how you can be treated like second class citizens, when you can contribute just as much as a male can, if not more. Um, and to be disrespected the way that a lot of your communities are. I mean, like I said, I've been in supermarkets, and I've seen the way men speak to their wives, and I've seen the way their children speak to their mums, and it's like they're copying their dad. And that's another thing you've got to think of. Do you want to be raising children in an environment that they're going to think is okay to treat their partners, especially when you've got sons, and these sons are seeing that the dad, disrespect their mom and in every way possible. And then the boys are talking to her like, there's something that they've just stepped in, and that's your mother. Have a bit of respect. That's your mother. Yeah, that's your dad, but that's your mom. She carried you. She gave birth to you. She taught you everything you know. Yeah, a lot of these boys do turn out like their dads, and unfortunately, I mean, I've got a 15-year-old, and you know, a lot of the lads in her school are very much of the idea that women belong in the kitchen and barefoot and pregnant, and women should know their places. And it's like, how can these young lads be thinking that way unless they're being taught it? And children are taught at home. They're taught more at home about how to live, how to cope, how to deal with people. And you've got to look at the parents for that, especially the dad. But then you've also got to look at the mum for allowing that. The mum's got to stop there then and think, hold on a second, I'm raising a son that can put another woman like me in this situation, if not worse. My son's going to grow up and he's going to be disrespectful even more. So I've got more men to deal with. It's not fair. And this is, again, and I say it all the time, it's so easily said than done, but you have to find that courage, you have to find that willpower to leave, and not just for your own self-worth and for your own safety, but for your children, for them, for their for their knowledge, that they're, they're a product of their environment, unfortunately. And if they see that mum puts up with all of this from dad, then obviously dad's doing the right thing. So that's how you treat a woman. Family members getting involved. I just don't understand that. I mean, I know lots of families that turn their back on a woman that leaves a relationship, and they'll turn their back on the children as well. And, it's a shame, but, you have to go through these things. You have to start again. You have to be strong mind, strong willed, and determined to start again, because you do. That's what you're doing. You're starting all over again, and it's hard. It's difficult. It's lonely, but you've got to get through those times to know that what you did was the right thing, and the right thing is leaving that relationship. Again, I don't want to sound patronizing, because know that it's easier said than done. So you can't just get up and walk out. Some women can't just get up and walk out, they're being watched all the time. And but I'm sure there's somebody that you can speak to that can get help to you, or that there's ways and means around it. If you can get a message to us, if you're stuck in that sort of rut where you're in a relationship that you don't want to be in and you're stuck, then please do contact us. Maybe we can offer you some sort of support or help, give you some sort of advice on what to do. We won't be condescending. We won't, it, like I said, I don't just I understand why why women stay in those relationships. I do, but I also understand the urgency and the importance of leaving that relationship, not just for your own sanity, but for your children as well. And for them to grow up to be better people so they know that what's right and what's wrong. You know, you're still teaching your children values, and you know, those are good values to have. Yes, you've left the home, yes, you've left the family, but you left it for a reason. You left it because of domestic violence. There's your reason. Nobody expects you to stay for
Even
that.
also, let me
No.
really speak also over here. I have seen a lot of cases where they were so afraid to talk about that because they have love marriage, and in our culture, even then, the point is, problem is in every culture. It's not about that my culture is better, your culture is good, your culture is better, my culture
No,
is
no,
good.
no, no, no.
You know? And we are, remember, everybody who is watching us, we are not pointing anyone over here. We are just having a random discussion about our understanding. So
Mm,
we have limited understanding. We can be right about certain thing, we cannot be about certain thing. We don't want to hurt anyone over here. So they are not, because they have this love marriage, or they fight with family law to have this marriage. Now if so certain problem came, then they are so free to speak to their family, because family were not happy when they were getting married, because of different circumstances. You never know, what is happening over there. So now they are, just because of that ego, or just because of that wall, like, this was my choice, I cannot take any kind of help. Please find some help. Go
mm,
and talk to your family if they can
yeah,
help you in that kind of circumstances. We still have a lot of organization over here, they who support women, who are taking, who take, whatever you call it, who can support certain women who have a lot of issues like that, in
yeah,
that cases. But the point is, please find help. Look
yeah,
around and find some help. Like over here, we also
definitely.
trying to provide kind of support. If somebody want to talk to us, they can come and talk to us, but still look for support. Look for the people that you trust and that you think that who would listen to you without any kind of judgment. Before trust, judgment, listening air, which is not listening you without judgment, is very important over here. That is the reason we part so many harsh judgment to the people. People are so afraid to talk about that what is happening with them. So you have to be, uh, find some place you can talk to your friend. Sometimes friends are those who are your, at the end of the day, we have talked about that a lot, that what are good people for you, what is your safe space. Like, you are telling them everything without any fear of being judged over there. So without any hesitation, without any shame, without any guilt. It can happen with anyone. It can happen to educated person. It can happen to illiterate person. It can happen to a beautiful woman, or a beautiful man, or handsome man, whatever the terminology people want to use for them. It could happen to anyone, and finding help is very important. And also look for mental health perspective over here, because sometimes I know that there are few people who know how to hit somebody without any bruise in the face.
Yeah,
To do that,
yeah.
sometimes it's emotional.
Psychological.
Yeah. Sometimes it's emotional abuse. Even I'm talking about hitting also, but sometimes it's emotional abuse.
Yeah.
Sometimes sometimes a person is having any kind of relationship with other women. Sometimes they don't even have a husband-wife relationship among each other, and a
Mm,
woman is suffering in silence. Sometimes
yeah.
men are suffering in silence. But the point is, please find any kind of help around you, and take that help without
Yeah.
any help, not just for yourself but for your children also. And you have to break that cycle. And the point is, there are fights in every house. No house is perfect, no relationship is perfect. Not Marriage is not perfect. Like, you're married woman, you know that marriage is not perfect. You have to work through that. So sometimes these are small things and people would make it a big problem. So try to understand how you can solve this issue before taking this problem to other people. So try to talk to each other. We both are talking all the time about, open the channel of communication with children. Please, before that, open the channel of communication between your husband and both of you. Husband and wife have to talk to each other a lot. They have to share their things. Don't share the things like you're sharing. Maybe sometimes, sometimes people say that, I don't have a friend, I'm sharing something with my husband. Your husband don't want to listen the gossip because he's very tired, so be mindful. He's not a woman. Women talk is different, men talk is different. So be mindful about that. Just try not to put the burden of everything on the man. And since like we are talking about the relationship over here, it is important to understand that aspect, that
But it's also, don't put all the burden on the woman either. Neil, it's not just putting all the burden on the man, it's putting all the burden on the woman as well. Because don't forget, that woman may not be working or out earning, but that woman is at home cooking, cleaning, raising the children. And to me, that's harder, because it's constant. You don't get a break, you don't get a knocking off time. It's
some
a
culture, the
constant
women have
thing.
to, women have to work for the family also. It's not
Yeah.
about and children. Sometimes she is looking after his mother. Sometimes she's looking after sister-in-law, mother-in-law, father-in-law. They are doing without asking anything from husband. And husband is also doing a lot for the children and wife also. He's earning for them. He's not earning for anyone else. So try to have first understand each other. No marriage is perfect. No marriage is ideal marriage. Try to understand each other. Talk to each other before going to that level. And do
Yeah.
not, don't go toward the pent up aggression side. Always have your own side. Have your own things for yourself. You need to have your own friends where you go and where you spend your time, and where you when you put on the emotional burden over there. Don't try to put your emotional burden on husband. And husband should not put that emotional burden on the wife. So they need to learn that how to unburden themselves and how to work on the relationship. Because I think uh, divorce is not a solution of everything. We don't want to talk about that. It's people's own thing. But the point is, sometimes in some cases, it's it's a better thing, but people have to go for that. It's a reality also. But
Yeah.
before that, for your own sake, I'm not saying for children, for your sake, because you are in a relationship and you have intimacy for each other. You have love for each other. For sake of that, for sake of the good time you spend for each other, you have spent in the start of your marriage, maybe still you're doing work on your relationship. If you will work on your relationship, if you have that open channel of communication, then I think your a lot of problem will be solved. Instead of you penting up the aggression, bottling up your emotions, and saying certain things. uh, Even then we cannot say, because those people who face that, they know what is happening with them. But even then we can just offer support over here. This is our job is. And please do not feel shame about talking about your problems. If you're facing any kind of domestic violence or abuse, please go and find a support for yourself. I think that is very important. And with this, I would like to conclude this. But if you want to say something about anything or anything, and also at the end, one thing I would say, in all this circle, children are the one who is getting most affected. Like parents are also getting affected, but children are young and they are very fragile, and they are taking very wrong message from that. They will hurt themselves. They will go toward drugs. They will go toward risky behavior because they want to avoid a situation that which is happening in the household. So you are responsible not for just yourself, but for so many lives around you. So
Yeah.
think about yourself and think about people around you. Okay. So this is from my side. Anything else you want to say or mention over here?
Just obviously we're going to be posting this up for you all to see. Please do leave messages. We like reading messages. But please take a look as well that we are still trying to get this app up and running. I'm still trying to get the GoFundMe page up and running. So, if anybody can help, if anybody can donate, I would really appreciate it. It is all for a good cause. It is all to protect these children. Because enough is enough. So yeah, I'm happy with today's discussion. Anila's gone. Is she gonna come back? Okay, so she, yeah, you can catch us on Twitter, you can catch us on LinkedIn, Instagram. YouTube, we've got a few platforms up and running now, so you can get hold of us any way you want. If there's any sort of subject that you want us to talk about as well, we can do that. That's not a problem. No names will be given, your confidentiality is the utmost. So we do lots of in confidentiality. Anila?
Yes, we are back. I'm back.
She's gone again. Okay. I would like her to just pop back on just to quickly say goodbye, but she might not be able to because, like I said, her internet is intermittent where she is at the moment. So thank everybody for joining us. Yes, she's back. Just want to say thank you to everybody for joining us, and yes, continue with the conversation. Neela, I'll leave it to you.
Yes, I'm back. So thank you so much, everybody, for listening us and giving us a positive and encouraging feedback. And we're just trying to make this discussion a understandable discussion for everyone. And we don't want people to think that these are bigger problems. We cannot say, we cannot face those problems. I think we have been talking to so many about giving so many examples, and you have also your own example also, and you're talking about your own problem also. And at the end, staying in those abusive thing is not brave. Coming out of that is brave. So if you think that you are a very resilient person and you are in that bad thing actually, and you are a brave person, you are not brave. I'm not saying that, I'm not judging you over here, I'm not judging anybody over here, but the point is, coming out of those things is brave. You have to come out of those things for your sake.
And another
First,
thing,
it's your life, and then your children come around you.
that's it. And another thing you've got to remember is you're never going to change that person. So staying there and saying he'll change, he's going to change, he won't change because that's in him, that he thinks that it's okay to do things like that. So he's never going to change. So that's one false hope that women have, that they'll be able to change him, and you can't change him. I'm sorry. So goodbye from here in the UK, Anila. Have a nice weekend.
I think we need to take off from the people. Yeah, have a nice weekend, everyone. And please, you can give a suggestion to talk about any kind of problem that you want to address. And we will having a discussion in the coming week with some other forum. And we will see over there some Twitter spaces. And maybe most probably we'll talk about childhood abuse. Maybe we will discuss that topic. So
Okay.
thank you so much, everybody, for listening to us and give your feedback and keep supporting us. And if you don't understand that how you can contribute into the work that we are doing, you can share our video. With this, I would like to say, take off from you. See you a long way.
Thank